Breaking news today, the truth behind these 4 myths about Vladimir Putin. U.S. propaganda during the Russian-Ukrainian conflict has made use of a tried-and-true syllogistic trick. You must first determine which country is at war with which leader. The conflict in Ukraine is being fought by Putin, not Russia. After that, you link that person to Hitler. Several prominent figures, including John McCain, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, James Clapper, and Kevin McCarthy, as well as Polish and Ukrainian presidents, have drawn comparisons between Putin and Hitler. Psychologically, it follows that any means employed to thwart a second Hitler are both militarily and morally justified, since the war is an attack on Hitler. An extension of Hitler's strategy is the madman approach. Accusing a leader of being insane makes him seem irrational and unable to negotiate in the eyes of the public. The only way to defeat him is on the battlefield if negotiations fail. The madman strategy has been around for a while, much like Hitler's tactics. Officials in Iran portrayed Mohammad Mossadegh as mentally ill, irrational, and insane in the years leading up to the 1953 coup, even though they had privately compared him to Gandhi. Putin has been portrayed as a crazy man who is untrustworthy, irrational, and impossible to negotiate with. Obama is not Gandhi. His candidacy for the Nobel Peace Prize is null and void due to Russia's relentless aggression against Ukraine. Still, Putin isn't Hitler. First myth, Putin is trying to have Ukraine totally destroyed. Putin is being accused by the U.S. of wanting to annex Ukraine, end its sovereignty, and wipe it off the map on a consistent basis. However, Russia's military operation has never explicitly sought to destroy the Ukrainian state. That objective has never been on Russia's list of grievances and goals. Consistently included on that list have been assurances that the Ukrainian government will maintain its neutrality and refuse to join NATO, that the alliance will not use the country as a weaponized anti-Russian stronghold along its border, and that the rights of Ukrainians who speak Russian will be protected. However, erasing Ukraine from the map has not been successful. No evidence in the public record that Putin was contemplating, much less intending to put an end to Ukraine as an independent state and make it part of Greater Russia when he sent his troops into Ukraine on February 24, John Mearsheimer pointed out. The sovereignty of Ukraine was acknowledged by Russia in 1991, when Ukraine adopted the Declaration of Independence after its withdrawal from the Soviet Union, according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Ironically proclaims its intention of becoming a permanently neutral state that does not participate in military blocs. Is what Ukraine says in its Declaration of Independence. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called it one of the main points for Russia and made it clear that Russia supports Ukraine's territorial integrity under those conditions. Even if Ukraine remained neutral, Russia would still like to see NATO pull out of the country. Second myth, Putin is seeking to restore the Russian Empire. It is my intention to emphasize that the situation in Ukraine does not involve a territorial dispute. We do not intend to expand our territory, Putin recently stated to a gathering of diplomats and academics. Not more land, but the principles underlying the new international order, a future security arrangement, is at the heart of the conflict, he said. Putin has much larger ambitions than Ukraine, U.S. President Joe Biden asserted on the very first day of the war. Actually, he is keen on bringing the old Soviet Union back to life. That's the crux of the matter. Putin has made clear that he'd like to reconstitute the Soviet Empire, according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is reading from the same script. Putin would not have waited for the 2014 coup in Ukraine to try to bring the country back into Western influence if his goal had been to restore the Soviet Empire. He would have readily obeyed Parliament's order to use military force across Ukraine, not only in Crimea. That would have been a simple military task back then. He would have recognized and respected the results of Donbass referendums calling for the region to secede from Ukraine and join Crimea in Russia. Russian forces defended South Ossetia from Georgian shelling in 2008. Had Putin desired to restore the Soviet Empire, he would have finished the conquest of Georgia. He would have reclaimed Georgia by leading the onrushing Russian forces to Tbilisi, the capital. Putin, following his lead in the Donbass, would have acknowledged the independence claims of the ethnic Russian provinces of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. Even after he acknowledged their independence in the wake of the Georgian invasion, he would have gone a step further and annexed them to Russia. According to recorded history, Putin has never aimed to restore the Soviet Empire. Thing number 3, Putin is not taking peace negotiations seriously. When it comes to peace talks, Putin has always meant business. He stayed dedicated to finding a solution to the Donbass problems by negotiating its autonomy within Ukraine through the Minsk Accords, so he refrained from annexing the region in 2014. If anyone was not committed to reaching a peaceful resolution, it was the political West. Their own testimony has made it crystal clear that Ukraine, Germany, and France lied about the Minsk negotiations in order to give Ukraine time to train its military forces to end the conflict in the Donbass militarily. Resolving the conflict peacefully was never Europe's goal. The United States also never provided the necessary assistance to Ukraine or pushed them to do so. But Putin never wavered in his dedication to the Minsk Accords as a means to end the conflict. His statement from 2014 reads, "I thought we could reach an agreement, and the Minsk agreements would allow Lugansk and Donetsk to rejoin with Ukraine in some way." He was convinced that there was still no alternative on the eve of the war in 2022. As the conflict drew near, Putin maintained his call for the Minsk Accords to be implemented. Putin reportedly spoke with Macron on February 12 and expressed his dissatisfaction with the West's inaction in pressuring Kiev to implement the agreements. The following day, he informed German Chancellor Olaf Scholz that a resolution within the Minsk agreements was still within reach, but that France and Germany needed to put pressure on Ukraine. This information comes from Jeffrey Roberts, an emeritus history professor at University College Cork. Putin wanted the US and NATO to negotiate mutual security guarantees in December 2021, but neither side was interested, and Russia's main demand, that NATO not expand to Ukraine, was never even considered. It was not Putin but the United States that was unconcerned with negotiating a peaceful resolution once hostilities escalated. In multiple rounds of negotiations beginning in Belarus on the eve of the war, Putin proved his seriousness. Israeli Prime Minister turned mediator Naftali Bennett said that Putin had made huge concessions and that there was a good chance of reaching a ceasefire, but that the United States had blocked it. Russia would return to Istanbul a few weeks later to resume serious and fruitful negotiations. An initial tentative agreement would be the result of those talks. However, multiple sources with knowledge of the negotiations claim that the United States also blocked those discussions. No one was less committed to finding a peaceful resolution than Putin. Fourthly, Putin is a thug who kills his enemies, or so the myth goes. The political West has long maintained that as a means of dealing with political threats and dissent, Putin resorts to having his opponents assassinated. As the late Princeton professor emeritus of politics and director of Russian studies Stephen Cohen put it, there is no actual evidence to support this claim. Putin may have allowed a climate to develop where powerful individuals could order killings, according to Philip Short, a Putin biographer. However, he asserts that, contrary to widespread belief in the West, Putin did not give the go-ahead for the executions. According to Short, only the death of Alexander Litvinenko can be laid firmly at Putin's door out of 10 suspicious deaths of Putin critics listed by the Washington Post in 2017. It appears that the murders of the others had nothing to do with the Kremlin. Cohen contended that there is still no conclusive proof even for that particular death, notwithstanding the judgment that Putin was probably accountable for Litvinenko. There is absolutely zero evidence that implicates Putin, he claims. Nothing here makes Putin the historical hero. However, when examined critically, the numerous Western myths that portray him as the antagonist, the second Hitler, fall apart. The Libertarian Institute and Antiwar.com both regularly publish columns written by Ted Snyder, who writes about U.S. foreign policy and history. Responsible Statecraft, The American Conservative, and others often feature his writings.